Hello and welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to Goodwood Aerodrome, which you can just about see in the top right of the screen there. You probably already guessed this video is a little bit different. It's not often we have some live footage on the channel, but it's always great when we do. This was a fantastic day. Huge thank you to my good friend Az and also Matt Jones from Spitfires.com. It's always great to come down to Goodwood. I've been lucky enough to come down here a few times now, a previous time to have a look at someone else taking a backseat flight in a TR9. Also another visit to have a look at their simulator, thanks to Richie, who is really the guy that set all that up. That was a great experience. I was also very lucky to be here for the first leg and the start of the Silver Spitfire, the longest flight trip. Which was a huge achievement for the guys. Round the world trip. Just beautiful aircraft, really showing off the Spitfire at its best in that bare metal skin. And what a day that was. Absolutely fantastic. And then this trip, which is also to see someone else take a trip in the back of the TR9, a friend of Az's. But I've also been very lucky, and I have a huge fondness for this TR9, having been in her myself a few years ago, back when she was in her old livery. And that's another reason to come down here to have a look at her in her splendid new livery, which is a tribute to a Battle of Britain Spitfire that flew from here when it was RAF West Hampton. So you can see there's a very meaningful link there now between Gilda and where she's based. And it's especially wonderful that Spitfires.com have an opportunity to honour Nigel Rose, who was a friend to the company, passed on a lot of his experience to them. And he was a pilot of the aircraft that this livery represents. He was in the thick of the action in the Battle of Britain for 602 City of Glasgow Squadron. And it's just great. These warbirds, it's wonderful to pay respect to these guys. So we had a very special surprise. Dom here, excellent pilot, absolutely fantastic host. Matt had arranged for us to go up and to fly alongside Gilda, which was we were not expecting, and it was a fantastic opportunity. So I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to let you listen to aircraft engines, because that's far more exciting. So there we have it. Wonderful experience. You just can't get enough of these beautiful, beautiful old machines. And having flown inside her, it's wonderful to have flown next to her as well. And again, a huge thank you to Matt, and of course Dom, our pilot, for this experience. It was great. So now, and this may seem like a bit of a come down, but hopefully not. Now we're going to head to the simulator, and we're going to fly the Mark 9 out of Burning Blue Design Goodwood, and we're going to head over to Compton Abbas. 2 wonderful airfields. It's just one of my favourite trips in the simulator. Let's get going. Right, well, let's get things going. Okay, so let's close the hatch. So fuel on, just check the parking brake is on. It is. Let's prop fully forward, mixture fully rich, crack the throttle. It's all good. And let's just move the throttle a little bit so we get power on. Excellent. Right, let's pump up the jams. Give it one for good luck. It's quite warm today, so shouldn't have any problems with under priming, that's for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quick look around. Mags are on. Fuel is on. Thank God. That's quite handy. And everything else is looking tickety-boo. Okay, stick back. And let's start. Interesting, brake was on there, but she started to turn. So let's just make sure everything's okay there. That's all good. Okay, let's close up the bits and pieces that we don't need anymore. That's all fine. Look at the temperatures. Temperature's rising nicely. Oil pressure's good. Okay, we're at a point now with the temperatures where we can actually start to taxi. Quick look down here. Everything is looking fine. Let's just quickly check the QNH. QNH is 1015. There we go. All good. Let's just check the gyro. Does have to be careful on the ground with the spit. The longer you dawdle, the hotter it gets. Spits don't like sitting around on the ground. So what have we got there? Just over 220. Yeah, that matches. That's good. Right, let's get cracking before we overheat. Stick back, just give it a kick round. There we go. Brake's working nicely. Watching the temperatures. By pure luck, the weather today is pretty much what it was on the day that we went up, so we're using the same runway and everything should be good. Something I'm really interested to see is pre-sim update 15. There was always round about there, and it hasn't happened, a kind of like a skip or a pause or a glitch or whatever. There it is. It's still yeah, for some reason, and it's nothing to do with Burning Blue Design Goodwood, it just happens at this spot and no one has figured it out yet, but it's there and there's nothing we can do. So when we take off, I'm going to tell you now, there will come a point for one scary moment where I have no control and it all pauses. and hopefully we'll come out to the other side of it and everything will be absolutely fine. Okay, let's just swing round and we'll do a quick run up. Again, with the temperatures, don't want to mess around too much. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, so brakes on. Let's have RPM up to 2000. It's interesting, the aircraft is pirouetting a little bit even though our brakes are on. Cycle the prop. See the aircraft's turning there slightly. That's unusual. Not seen that before. Wonder if that's a sim update 15 thing. Okay. There we go. Now we can properly turn around and get onto the runway before we get too hot. And let's just have a little bit of nose down trim. Interesting, well, for some it's probably as interesting as watching paint dry, but there's had a couple of debates on whether it's trim up or trim down. BBMF use trim up, some other pilots use trim up. Manual for the Flying Iron Spit says nose down. The A2A Mark 1 and Mark 2 said nose down. I've gotten so used over the years to doing nose down, that's how I do it now, although I'm practicing nose up to be like the BBMF. Okay, quick look around. Not seeing anything too bad. Temperature's quite warm, so we do need to get going. So let's go. Bit of power first. Watching that creep to the right with the nose. Back on the power, back on the RPM. Let's close the hatch, close the canopy, and we'll come back around. Checking the T's and P's, everything's good. Something I forgot to do is let's have fuel pump on. So here we have Goodwood House that we saw in the video. Fair bit of turbulence. There's Goodwood House. I think we've got I don't think the race, no, the race course is over there, but it's just using the generic buildings, but you get an idea, but not particularly pretty. Right, well, let's go. Mentioned the BBMF before. at the point of doing this video, I'll be quite honest with you, I nearly didn't do it. News has broken that a Spitfire has crashed up at Coningsby. There's no news on the pilot on the aircraft. God, I just really hope the pilot is okay. I really do. It's a reminder that flying these old girls is a dangerous game. We know that there's pilots who've lost their lives since the war purely by displaying these aircraft. It's by no means easy or safe, and yeah, my thoughts are absolutely with the pilot, his family, and the wider BBMF team. I was up there a couple of months ago, stood possibly next to the aircraft in question. It's a sobering thought, really is, and we're lucky that organisations like the BBMF and Spitfires.com keep these aircraft in the air so that we can enjoy them, but also we owe a debt of gratitude to the guys who strap them on and take the risk. So we've got East Wittering, West Wittering down there. Some rather nice, if not extremely busy, beaches. I've only been to West Wittering once, and wow, it was busy. Back a little bit more on the RPM. It's a lovely little flight, this. I used to like doing it in P3D, especially in the T6 and the Spit. But in Microsoft Flight Simulator it's even more beautiful because the scenery is just absolutely superb. Gorgeous. So we're not a million miles away here from Leon Solon, which is another Burning Blue design masterpiece. Now that down there is, I believe that belongs to the Royal Navy. Must admit, don't know a huge amount about it. Just looking at the map to see if there's anything on there, but on this scale there isn't. But you can see what looks like ships, radar and bits and pieces on top of a mast, so I guess that is a naval base of some description. If you know what it is, pop it in the comments down below. Be interested to know. I seem to remember at some point I did know, but it's gone from my brain. Here's Leon Solent we will go and say hello. Why the hell not? Leon Sultan, of course, is another base from which Spitfires.com fly from time to time. I want to say it's when the grass at Goodwood isn't in the best of nick, but of course there's other places they fly from as well. They do travel around the country, spending time at different places. They even go as far as Cumbernauld in Scotland, so that people around the country can get an opportunity to fly in Gilda without travelling a million miles down south. So here we have Leon Solon, Transair based here now. See if we can get a cheeky look at their hangar just there. There's the lovely old tower. Right, let's bring around. I do love flying this bit. Gives you a good look at Leon Solon from up here. I really do love what Burning Blue Design do. They just bring these places to life, and it's a pleasure. You know, as you can see we're doing today, we've taken off from Goodwood, we're flying over Leon Solon, and we're ending up at Compton Abbas. But there is a whole host of different airfields we can fly from. Wonderful. Holbury over there, where the masts are. So, what are you flying in the sim? You're always interested to know. See, there's a lot of Duke activity going on at the moment. I haven't gone out and got the Duke just yet. A couple of things that I need to get sorted in my sim, and spending some time in the Black Square King Air, so I don't necessarily have a need for the Duke right this minute. But it is a very pretty aeroplane, and the fact that you've got the piston and the turbine is an interesting mix. So no doubt at some point I'll be tempted to blow the moths out of the wallet and have a look. Southampton up there, see the docks. This is where for me the sim really comes into its own. It's being someone who doesn't fly tube liners and that sort of thing. Flying real life weather in an aircraft like this over scenery like this, my god, how many times have you heard me say this? I know it's boring, but it's true, it's just how I feel. I remember hearing someone once saying that flying warbirds in a civilian flight simulator without any combat was just sad, but I beg to differ. I think it's great. Flying these old aircraft like they're restoration aircraft, just as Spitfires.com do, is a great experience, and they're not easy to fly. You know, there's still that argument from some quarters about P3D being more of a realistic simulator and all that sort of stuff. I think certainly this Mark 9 is harder to fly than the A2A Mark 2. Does that mean it's more realistic? I wouldn't say that. I think it probably is quite good at honing some skills because it's a little bit trickier. But yeah, it's certainly good fun. And let's face it, we're all looking forward to seeing what A2A can do with warbirds, although we might have a long wait. Right, so let's have a quick look over at the weather. Compton Abbas QNH is 1014, and what have we got? 6 knots from 160. So not a million miles off what we saw before. So I think we will take 08. We're going to have a bit of a crosswind, but should be alright, should be good. I should say at this point, obviously I'm no expert, this isn't a tutorial. I think it's quite important to say that sometimes when people watch YouTube videos or YouTubers, same thing, isn't it? What I'm talking about. They think that perhaps we're making a video because we think we're an expert and we're making this to show you how it works, and certainly in my case that's not the case. If ever I make a tutorial, I will tell you it's a tutorial. This is very much just having a nice flight, enjoying the scenery in this beautiful Silver Spitfire, and that's what it's about. Mistakes will be made. I'm not really happy with my landings at the moment in the Spit, if I'm honest. For some reason, I'm not quite sure when, probably because I've become a what's the saying, it's gone out of my head, jack of all trades, master of none. There you go. Been spending so much time in other aircraft that I think I've probably lost my edge a little bit sometimes. So as I say, mistakes will be made, but it's all in the spirit of entertainment. Isn't it gorgeous? I do love having using Rex AccuSeason Advanced for such a long time, using the terrain shading. The ground was brown, wintry, cold, horrible, and now it's this gorgeous green. Really is stunning. And that silver elliptical wing, great, isn't it? So one of the other interesting things with Compton is you kind of have to keep your eyes peeled, because with all these hills and things going on, it's easy to miss it. So I need to certainly keep an eye on that. I'm going to try and come round to the north. Of course, Compton now owned by film director Guy Ritchie. He's been putting time and money into making some changes here. I must come here at some point in real life. Never been here. Crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it would be great to see it. Beautiful countryside. SU-15 certainly seems a little bit smoother. I'm not getting so much in the way of pauses like I used to. Went through a phase where I was getting awful pauses that would just last, you know, you'd literally be sitting there going 1, 2, 3, 4, and suddenly it would release and you'd be able to fly again. Incredibly frustrating. So Compton is just there. Let's just wing it round a little bit. great. So we'll come down say hello and then we'll brake and then we'll land. I'm being optimistic there. Windsock blowing around a little bit. Checking the speed. The throttle. RPM fully forward. Speed's come off nicely. Gained a fair bit of height in that manoeuvre. Gear down. So let's lose some of that height. Don't want to be too high. Sometimes it can be a bit deceptive landing on the top of a hill. So gear indicating green, which is good and reassuring. Keeping an eye on the speed. Lead the speed off a little bit. We'll drop the flap now. Watch the aircraft. Curved approach. Little bounce. Just a little bounce. Be rude not to. Wonderful. Well, could certainly have done a better landing, that's for sure, but it wasn't too bad. And here we have this very frustrating thing. Gear up, flaps up. Where you see we have grass and then we don't have grass. That's nothing to do with Burning Blue design, and that's more to do with the Orbex mesh, which I have installed. It does have its advantages, but as you can see, sometimes you do get these odd bare patches as well. It seems to have been improved a little bit in SU15, but still seeing them from time to time. Anyway, there you go, Compton Abbas, we have arrived. Lovely little flight. Do hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the beginning bit, talking about Spitfires.com and going up with Gilder. It's nice to have some real footage. That was a trip that's been a few months in the planning, so great to finally get there. We were very lucky with the weather. Anyway, wonderful to have you on board. Hope you enjoyed the flight. We do have a Discord. It's called the Aerodrome. I'll put a link to that down below. Come along, say hello. We have group flights, talk about aeroplanes, all that kind of good stuff. That's what it's all about. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you on the channel again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.